Back to this stuff. The Sweet Baby Ink stuff is so crazy to me. It's so crazy to me. I guess I've been seeing some things that Elon Musk, yeah, it's right here as well. Elon Musk is actually talking about it now. I don't know how much of this stuff is actually going to change. We'll see. I've seen a few of Upper Echelon's videos. I don't know what this is going to be about. I mean,
This video
specifically,
is brought
but
to you by Surfshark. Stick around to hear more
sure.
about the special offer they're providing to the entire upper echelon community. All right, today's topic is obviously controversial, very controversial, but I'm going to do my best to navigate that in a particular way. What that means is that I need your help, you, the audience watching this right now, because the crux of the issue in play at the moment is general behavior. Right now, that probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but remember this, and towards the end of the video,
No, it makes perfect sense. Their behavior towards everybody that disagrees with them is fucking atrocious.
I'll circle back to it with hopefully a much clearer articulation of what it is people can actually do to help. So, with all that said, let's begin. Right now, as I make this, a company called Sweet Baby Incorporated is dominating the gaming news cycle. It's the subject of
100%.
I don't even know how many different articles now decrying the gaming community as toxic, claiming that players are ill-informed, or any number of criticisms
Yeah,
about
we're
the industry player
everybody
base,
that's
and
against
daring to
us
criticize
is
this
the one that's
company in
wrong,
any way,
not
shape,
us.
or form. That sounds kind of ridiculous on its
It
face,
doesn't
but
matter how many people are against
that's
us.
kind of
We
the
are the
truth.
ones that are
To
correct.
properly dive into this topic, though, we have to go back in time. August of 2014, about 10 years ago, there was an event.
That is
That
really
event,
fucking
now
salty.
known as Gamergate to most, became a subject mired in controversy, rife with disinformation, and scrutinized by an audience far beyond the typical video game community after it basically went mainstream. Here's what I mean by that. Just a few days ago, The Guardian published a piece about how it's been 10 years since Gamergate, but conspiracy theorists are still routinely targeting and abusing women.
You see how everything, no matter what, always come down to some sort of political agenda? I don't
And
get it.
woke game consultants. That's a preposterous way to frame it, in my view, but that's the position we're in. Gamergate has become a pop culture term with widespread implications, and
Yeah.
in case you don't believe me, here's an example from CNET. Gamergate to Trump, how video game culture blew everything up. Funnily enough, in the title, I don't know what to call it here.
What began as a backlash to a debate about how video games portray women led to an internet culture that ultimately helped sweep Donald Trump into office. That is the most bullshit thing I have read in this entire issue. What the fuck does that mean? Like, how does that have anything to do? Fuck, that's so confusing, man.
Blurb
They're not winning on the games front, so they need to go into political culture.
maybe of the article on Google. The title is actually Gamergate to American Nazis: How Video Game Culture Blew Everything Up.
Video game Nazis,
It
that
also
that
demonstrates
is
the level of
hilarious.
threat.
Hold on, what? I want to
Nazis:
see what
How
this is
Video
actually
Game
saying here.
Culture Blew Everything Up. Which
Um, for example, what happens when online hate speech crosses into real life? The ways neo Nazis use social media, and how racists co-opted cartoon character Pepe the Frog. Wasn't Pepe the Frog used in like? Um, I believe Pepe the Frog was big when Biden and Trump were going against each other, right? Or was it before that? I don't remember. But it's crazy how a meme was it 4chan that started it, I think.
also demonstrates
The
the level
internet's
of
a crazy
rhetoric.
fucking place.
Side note, this article was written by Ian Scher, the same writer who published
Okay.
a hit piece about me at one point in time. So, yeah, there's a personal angle here as well. Owing to
Yeah, so it's just everybody that disagrees is just far right Nazi. I mean, unfortunately, that's and by the way, both sides do this. Like, I don't want to try and pick sides. Both sides do this. Like, if you're on the left and you disagree with something, and if you're on like the far left and you disagree with something, it's far right neo-Nazi. If you're on the right and you disagree with something, it's woke liberal agenda. Both sides are doing the exact same thing.
how certain media voices have deliberately and vindictively attacked the video game community frequently over the past several years. Gamergate has become an all encompassing avatar of everything bad online for a lot of people, but the word itself really doesn't have a monolithic definition. The truth is, Gamergate means different things to different people,
Yeah.
and you'll get different answers depending on who you ask. It's a topic that could honestly span several hours, but I'll try to boil it down as
It's
much as
crazy that
possible.
it happened
On
10
one
years ago
side,
at this point, too.
Gamergate is described as a hateful campaign of harassment that was carried out by online video game players, particularly against women and various media figureheads, for daring to exist simply in the space.
Yeah.
It branches out from there. Some people openly claim that Gamergate is the reason for American political shifts.
I haven't heard that, but I fully believe that. There's no way that, like, if you can get people that are anti-gamers on your side, I mean, why wouldn't you try and push any sort of political agenda you have?
Marketed as the genesis point of conspiracy and misinformation on a global scale. But the short form summary is that for one of these groups involved,
Yeah.
Gamergate is an avatar of evil supported by horrible, dangerous, and totally unhinged people. On the other side, that very same concept is about ethics. Depending on who you ask, Gamergate is either the progenitor of online hate and harassment or a simple movement demanding higher ethical standards in journalism. And the reasons for that are actually pretty simple.
Yeah.
Early on, as Gamergate got started at least, the bulk of criticism revolved around conflicts of interest. Journalists giving favors to particular developers.
So here's the thing, right? Like I'm gonna try and summarize this entire issue as much as I can. Nothing has anything to do with anything political. People just want good video games, and they don't want to be force-fed stuff that they don't want. I kind of talked about this yesterday, yesterday a little bit. That if you are being force-fed something, and you were being told that you like it, you're not gonna like it. It doesn't matter which political side you're on. It doesn't matter if you voted for Biden or Trump. It doesn't matter if you. It doesn't matter what you believe politically. If you're being force fed something, you're not going to like it. That's just the truth. And gamers don't want to be force fed stuff that they don't want to see in their video games. It has nothing to do with any political side. I have friends that are on the left and the right, and they both agree this is bad.
Nepotism or other impropriety in gaming media. Asking one side what the term means will have them basically hiss at you, but asking the other will get varied responses, all hinging on the idea that when you are a journalist, you should be properly disclosing conflicts of interest and seeking to.
Yeah, I mean, I would trust the side that is giving the more calm reactions to it, right?
Accurate, truthful articles instead of coordinating to push a desired narrative. I don't know how much of this will resonate with most people, but the FBI, thanks to a FOIA request, which means Freedom of Information Act, published a redacted version of their entire investigation into Gamergate, and it's pretty clear what their findings were.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
A movement demanding better ethics in journalism was eventually bogged down by, for lack of a better term here, internet trolls. As someone who encounters internet trolls on a regular basis every day, and the general concept, at least since I was a child.
I mean, that's not going to get better. It's arguably only going to get worse. Like, you cannot control what is on the internet. You just can't.
It's little more than a basic annoyance, which
some countries try, right? Some countries try. Like here in Canada, you cannot talk shit about the Prime Minister because you will get thrown in jail, as an example. Unfortunately, we don't have free speech. But in the States, you can say whatever the fuck you want online, and nothing will ever happen to you, besides you maybe getting some hate comments. Right? Like, you might get some hate comments and you might get canceled on Twitter, but nothing is actually going to happen to you. Here in Canada, that's not how that works. And honestly, in most parts of the world, that's not how that works. So everybody that's in the States really has it so much better than they think, in terms of what they're able to do and say online.
It seems the FBI holistically agreed with. But as trolls and other bad actors began to integrate themselves within the general Gamergate movement, it became easier and easier for media publications and figureheads to decry everyone involved as toxic, prejudiced, and hateful. Flash forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough to look at a group of people and say they're all bad, right? Like, I personally don't fully understand that mindset. You can be against something without being hateful and toxic. And I think most people are. Unfortunately, it does boil down to the fact that you're only going to hear the minority. And that's true for everything, and that's true for both sides, is you're only ever going to hear the minority.
Forward, after a persistent atmosphere of loudly proclaimed victimhood was perpetuated for a very long time, and we can see what amounts to a general narrative fully installed in the wider population, which paints Gamergate as a misogynistic
Okay, hold on.
fully installed in the wider population, which paints game.
A group with more than 20,000 followers on PC Games storefront and oh, this is just talking about the believes that Sweet Baby Inc. is secretly forcing game devs to change the bodies, ethnicities, and sexualities of video game characters to conform to woke ideology. They think that Sweet Baby has been written and controlled almost every popular video game of the past 5 years, shutting straight white men out. So every single video game, no, but it is pretty apparent when you actually look at who writes things, and then you cross-reference those people with what parent companies they specifically work for, and it's pretty easy to tell what is actually happening in the gaming sphere, right?
Gamergate as a misogynistic campaign of anger driven by the worst kinds of people imaginable because their one and only desire is to harass others, particularly women and marginalized communities.
No, that is just blatantly untrue. I don't support. So here's the thing, and this is purely anecdotal. This is purely what I think. So here's the thing. I am not far right. Okay, I am not far right in the slightest. I consider myself, for the most part, like central. Right, I am like fairly center. There are some things I think the left is correct on, and there are some things I think the right is correct on. But for the most part, I am fairly central. I am 100% against force feeding things to people, right? I am 100% against all these things. I am not misogynistic. I do not hate women. I am engaged. I love women. I think they are some of the most beautiful creatures on this planet. What you believe in the video game sphere does not translate into real life ever once at all.
And only desire is to harass others, particularly women and marginalized communities.
Yeah, that's just blatantly untrue. That's just blatantly untrue. I mean, it's hard to say I'm not racist, I did these things, but like at the end of the day, I I don't know how to say this without like I don't know how to say this like any more clearly. Is that most people on the right love women. Sorry, most straight men on the right love women. Most straight women on the right love men. And this is true on the other side as well. Your political standing doesn't have anything to do with which gender you love. I'm fairly central with a very slight leaning towards the right. And I love women. I have nothing against women. I'm engaged. I would love to have a daughter at some point.
That is effectively what Gamergate is. It's a two-sided coin where one portion of those involved view it to be a struggle against mainstream media and journalistic corruption, and the other portion view it to be a horrifying avatar of everything wrong on the entire internet. All right, time to pay the bills by endorsing a product I actually use myself and promote in my free time because of its quality, which is Surfshark. Surfshark is a VPN, a virtual.
It's not everything wrong with what's online. It's hard to know for sure, but I'm pretty sure the gaming sphere is not the majority of things online.
Private network, most of you have probably.
I think political standings and political issues take a substantially larger portion of the internet than gaming does.
Heard the term before. And VPNs protect you from a bunch of different things. Of course, nothing in cybersecurity is ever 100% perfect. Keep that in mind. But Surfshark protects against certain types of phishing attacks, malware, DNS tunneling, DDoS attacks in particular, and also against the.
It's actually crazy. I know that this is an ad, but just talking about this for a second, it's crazy. There's that guy I see on like reels and all the time. That hacker guy. He's kind of skinny. Kind of looks like he has like an alien face. He talks about how easy it is to hack into things like all the time, and it's insane. So, I mean, if you are worried about any sort of security or anything, I would probably get some program like this.
New and painfully
I don't know
normalized
how much it
practice, and it
actually
is a
helps,
big
but
thing.
it's kind of the same thing as a lock, right? It just keeps honest men honest, honest people honest, right?
Data harvesting as well as tracking. It doesn't
Because lock, just so like we're clear on something, locks don't actually do anything. It doesn't matter how expensive your lock is, it's not gonna last through a pair of bolt cutters.
stop there either. Surfshark unlocks additional content on streaming websites, such as Netflix, for example. You can easily change your region and add additional options in your video library as a
Yep.
result of geo-gated licensing agreements.
Yep.
Here's a big one. Surfshark gets around regional censorship, like the government deciding to block things, and Surfshark also offers encryption, IP protection, modification, and more. I say this in every single segment about them now because it's important. For those that know why, good on you. Surfshark operates completely separate infrastructure from NordVPN, and
Yep.
Surfshark also maintains a warrant canary. I never use or endorse a VPN that doesn't and never will. If you click the link down below using promo code
I don't
Echelon,
really
you can
know.
take
I
advantage of a
personally don't
special
use VPNs.
community-wide offer with up to 3 months
I
free.
haven't had a reason
Again,
to,
that's promo code
so I
Echelon
don't.
with the link down below for a
Maybe if I ever
community-wide
have a reason
special
to, I
offer
will,
for
but not
3
yet.
months for free. Big thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring the channel. So why does it matter? Well, it matters because we might actually be cruising straight for round 2 of that same struggle as a widespread media narrative emerges surrounding Sweet Baby Incorporated and the toxic trolls who are allegedly harassing them.
I think we actually are. I haven't seen um this genre of people, I mean gamers, like come together as much as this in recent history.
Again, just a
Like since 2000, like since 2012, 2014, whenever the original Gamergate was.
few days ago, The Guardian published a piece directly connecting Gamergate and Sweet Baby, saying, quote, a group with more than 200,000 followers on PC Games storefront Steam, as well as thousands in a Discord chat channel, believes that Sweet Baby Inc. is secretly forcing game developers to change the bodies, ethnicities, and sexualities of video game characters to conform to woke ideology.
It's kind of because they are, and there's proof about this. Like this is not a conspiracy, right? This isn't a conspiracy whatsoever. The information is out there. I have videos on my YouTube that were talking about this specifically.
They think that Sweet Baby has written and controlled almost every popular video game of the past 5 years, shutting straight white men out. End quote.
I don't
That's a
know if that's
ridiculous
exactly
thing to
true,
write.
but yeah.
Obviously, people aren't making the argument that they've controlled basically every popular video game of the past 5 years. I mean, talk about straw man. Okay, this is
Also, what I was saying the other day as well too is remember that these large companies are hiring this group. Right, like this group is not just infiltrating large corporations, they're being hired.
off script right now. I mean, the level of straw man argumentation in this whole thing right now is absurd. But whatever, that's a whole
They're,
argumentation.
there may always be those who believe that the mere presence of women and minorities in their video games is an affront. No, that is completely untrue. That is completely untrue. And that is just something to say to try and garner as much as attention as possible. Or to cater to a specific political side. That is completely untrue.
In this whole thing, right?
Like, are people like actually pissed that there's two female characters in Last Epoch? No.
Now is absurd, but whatever, that's a whole separate topic.
Are people pissed that Lara Croft is a female character? No. Lara Croft is a great character. At least she used to be a great character. I haven't played the more recent games, but
There's no end to the media response, but here's a snapshot, generally speaking. From Kotaku, Sweet Baby Inc. doesn't do what some gamers think it does. From PC Gamer, a company called Sweet Baby Inc. has become the target of anti-woke gamers because it offers consultancy work and industry standard service that's been normal for years.
yeah, that's kind of saying one thing is another thing when it's not. Consultancy work has been normal in games for years, just not necessarily to this level. And I think that what's interesting as well is none of this was an issue kind of until it was. Like, what, two weeks ago?
Eurogamer. Spider-Man, Alan Wake, Ridiculous Fishing devs speak up in support of consultancy studio Sweet Baby Inc. after online group claims firm pushing agenda the games it worked on. Or game developer, this one's a very, very obvious example. Why are Valve and Discord permitting harassment against Sweet Baby Incorporated? Steam and Discord are being used as a home.
Because of free speech. Because these companies are based in the US and they have free speech.
Base for hateful reactionaries to single out and harass game developers. End quote.
Oh. What's funny about this is if the opposite were true, just in some like random scenario, right? That if they were hosting hateful things toward the other side that were like siding with Sweet Baby, as an example, and then they got taken down, they would be just as upset. So remember that.
That's already very clear in terms of tactics involved, but going even further, here's a post from Take This, which is a nonprofit 501c3 mental health organization.
If you're reading this, you've probably been hearing about what's now being called Gamergate 2. It's the latest targeted harassment campaign within the game industry, and it's aimed at Sweet Baby Inc., a Montreal-based narrative development studio. The campaign also has been impacting entities and games associated with Sweet Baby. Journalists covering the issue and others associated in various ways with the targets. You may also be at a loss to know how to talk about this issue and what, if anything, you can do about it. I mean, I think the people who are against this are doing everything that they can.
That has worked with prominent games industry.
And the people who are with this are also doing everything that they can.
Companies like Bethesda, Ubisoft, or Riot Games. Take This decided to publish a blog post, quite literally denouncing Gamergate 2, as they call it, which reads, quote, "If you're reading this, you've probably been hearing about what's now being called Gamergate."
Large-scale harassment campaigns like this fuel and are fueled by political events. They're not. As political rhetoric heats up ahead of the US presidential election later this year, this kind of online activity is going to ramp up, and it's important to understand that these phenomena are interrelated. Except they're not. Because this isn't, like, I'm not in the US at all. I don't give a fuck about US politics. And I also have an opinion on this. So that is just objectively false.
2. It's the latest targeted harassment campaign within the game industry, and it's aimed at Sweet Baby Incorporated, a Montreal-based narrative development studio. The campaign also has been impacting entities and games associated with Sweet Baby, journalists covering the issue, woe is me, and others associated in various ways with the targets. You also may be at a loss to know how to talk about this issue and what, if anything, you can do about it. That's where we come in, end quote. Now, what's interesting here is that as per most of their existing work disclosed on a variety of pages, such as this one about strategies for addressing hate, harassment, and extremism in online communities.
You want to know how you address hate? You just don't, and you ignore it. Because when you give attention to somebody, they're gonna continue doing the same thing. Like, you just ignore it. Unironically, the best thing for Sweet Baby to do in this situation is to just act like the people that are against them don't exist.
Take This is funded by the Department of Homeland Security. This means, in no uncertain terms, that United States tax dollars are now being used as part of a media campaign that very articulately labels Sweet Baby Incorporated as the victim of a harassment campaign, which is a lockstep.
Well, I mean, that makes sense, right? Like, the US has a Democratic Party, which is a left party, and this is a left-leaning company, obviously. So, of course, their values are going to align. That's not a huge jump.
Replica of precisely what happened in 2014. The similarities here are striking. Alyssa Mercante, the Kotaku writer responsible for the most recent article defending Sweet Baby Incorporated.
And also, by the way, no real person actually believes that this has anything to do with the election coming up or political events.
Claiming the gamers don't understand what it does, is now openly threatening industry leaders, with massive followings in particular, for not speaking out, which can be more accurately translated here as not echoing what I'm saying right now and helping push the desired narrative. However,
I don't understand this. I mean, I do understand this because she's threatening, which is exactly what the other Kim, I think her name is. was saying you should do. That if people don't agree with you, you should just threaten them.
As
It's
all
a
of this
fuck.
unfolds,
It's a
there is
joke.
one thing that remains paramount to understand, and that is origin. This entire issue is predicated on a Steam list, using what are
Yep.
essentially very
With 200,000 people in it, by the way, which is not a lot of people.
basic platform tools. A user
250,000 people is not a lot of people.
on Steam decided to make a list of games that a narrative consultation company
There's like 8 billion fucking people on the planet.
had worked on previously, for the purpose of then avoiding those titles, not buying them.
Jesus Christ.
That's it. After doing so, an action that cannot be labeled as harassment in any conceivable sense of the word ever. A couple of Sweet Baby employees, former and current, decided to try and get the list taken down, but in addition to that, they tried to get the creator suspended permanently from the platform just because they didn't like him. When they did this at the time, the list had between 5 and 9,000 followers, but after they attempted to vindictively cancel and personally harm someone who simply made a list of their games that the company worked on, that's all he.
Well, yeah, obviously, because you're bringing attention to something. What's so funny is if these people didn't bring attention to this, it would still have like 10,000 followers. Or maybe it would have like double the followers. But with them bringing attention to this is what made it like 10x its following. It's unironically their fault.
He did. After that happened, the number of followers and people aware of them skyrocketed.
Hold on, what does it actually say? For example, Steam doesn't have guidelines for curators that would prevent someone from starting a curation group that focuses on, say, it warns people to not buy games they're associated with, which could just list any game at all. Well, no, because if they're not associated with it, then it shouldn't be listed. Right? Like, which is the community's group, or sorry, the community's job to figure out if a game is actually made by them or not, or had their influence or not.
When that happened, the number of followers and people aware of them skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Sweet Baby Incorporated was.
It's unironically their fault.
It categorically did not happen. What happened was that people don't like their shitty work and don't want to play the games that they help with. In response, they harassed someone. They attempted to attack him, and that is what sparked widespread recognition of this topic.
Yeah, this is the best thing about a free market. Is that you literally get to vote with the money that you have. Right? Like, if you don't like something, you don't buy that thing. And they're upset about that. They're basically saying you have to buy it anyway. Like, regardless of the content, you have to buy it. That's basically what they're saying.
And seems to be kicking off Gamergate 2. Now, with that said, I need to clarify a few things. It's entirely possible that they are now receiving harassment from a wider set of people who are sick and tired of people like them attempting to get those that they disagree with deleted from the internet. But the media cycle we are witnessing is a lie. It's built on
Yeah,
things
of course
that
it
are
is.
not true. It attempts to label everything critical of them as hateful harassment, and it's almost identical to what happened 10 years ago with Gamergate. Make no mistake here, gamers were skeptical and critical of Sweet Baby Incorporated before all this. Myself,
Yeah, but it wasn't nearly as big. People have been wondering for the past few years what the fuck is up with games recently, because there has obviously been a shift. Think of games from like 2010, and then think of games that are coming out now. There's obviously a shift, which not all of it is bad, right? I'm not against. Again, I just want to make this clear. I'm not against inclusivity. I am against things being forced that don't need to exist. Both sides of that as well.
included as well. As a result, someone made a list of the games that they work on from their own website. That was the source for getting this list, so that people could simply not buy those games if they didn't want to.
Yeah.
And then Sweet Baby employees tried
Which
to
is completely
create a
their right.
harassment campaign against the creator and get his personal accounts deleted forever. That effort.
Yeah, so they're doing the exact same thing that they're upset about happening to them. It's just hypocrisy. That's all it is.
Spectacularly, they Streisanded themselves horribly.
Yeah, they Streisanded themselves. Yep, the Streisand effect.
Because they don't want to support that company as a result of that company's own actions, and the media is running a widespread defensive campaign for them about how Sweet Baby Incorporated are being harassed and how Gamergate 2 is such a huge problem. I can't
Which
see
is
this
again,
narrative.
exactly what they tried to do with that other person, right? Things are only bad when it happens to them. Things are only bad when it happens to you. And everybody's hypocritical. The left is hypocritical, the right is hypocritical, the Democrats are hypocritical, the Republicans are hypocritical. Everybody's hypocritical. Just because you align with a certain side or align with certain values doesn't mean you're a perfect human being.
Will look like in 6 months or a year from now. It may end up in a completely identical situation as the original Gamergate issue, where a small number of people's behavior is then used to relegate the entire subject to a shadow realm of these horrible people are the reason for everything bad in the world. They got Trump elected and everything's falling apart because of them. But right now, we're in the beginning stages where the media is trying to do something like that, but hasn't fully solidified their message yet, and currently lacks the proper justification for a blanket condemnation of everyone involved, even though they're desperately looking for it. This is the part where I circle back all the way to the start. Don't give them a reason. I need your help, and this centers on general behavior. You, the audience, I need your help. Because anyone who now says something critical of Sweet Baby in the wrong tone, or with the wrong words, or uses any sort of tactic beyond simple, articulate, and respectful criticism will be giving ammunition to a group of people that is determined to paint everyone they can as extremist and vile.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a really bad mindset to have, right? It really is. I don't personally subscribe to that mindset. I don't think that people on the other side politically are evil human beings. I just don't. I have people on the other political side. I have people on both political sides that I love as friends. Right? Like regular human beings, you might joke about you being on a certain political side, but regular human beings just want to be friends with people. And that's a good thing, by the way, because being in an echo chamber is not good. Surrounding yourself with people that only agree with you and don't challenge you at all ever in the slightest is not a good thing to have.
If you troll, if you vent your frustrations in an improper way, any improper way at all, or on an improper forum, you will be giving them an out that they desperately need, by the way, to reclassify all of this as a hateful campaign of evil gamers who are ist and phobic and whatever else they can conjure up. Because make no mistake here, that is where we're headed. Phobic, and classify all of this as a hateful campaign of evil gamers who are ist and phobic and whatever else they can conjure
ist
up.
and
Because
phobic.
make no mistake here, that is where we're headed. Do not forget where all of this started. Do
Like
not
like
forget that
like
proper
like like
behavior is
racist and
utterly and
transphobic,
completely
right? Ist and
disarming for
phobic.
them. And choose where to spend your money accordingly. If large companies want to speak on the issue now and gaslight their own audience with the media or in tandem lockstep,
Yeah,
with the
you
media,
vote with your wallet. This has always been true. This is how you get companies to change things. Like if you don't like the way that Hershey's bars are, you stop buying Hershey's bars. Right? Like this isn't a new idea. If you don't like the way that Nike shoes feel, you don't buy Nike shoes. If you don't like the way that Fords drive, you don't buy a Ford. This isn't a new idea. Even way back then. If you don't like a specific type of horse, you don't buy that horse. Right? I mean, it's not that complicated.
as they're attempting to do here.
If you don't like
us,
us, if you don't like,
want to pretend that the mere existence
if you don't like games that certain people have worked on, you don't buy those games. And you should do that, by the way. And you have the free option to do that. If you don't like a content for how it is made or what it is made of, you don't buy that thing.
of a list of games is harassing, don't read their work. And please, again, do not contribute to any activity whatsoever that can be used by a desperate and mentally deficient cohort of media figureheads to paint everyone else around you as hateful or unstable. Be better than them.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Feel free to protest, but don't protest by calling the other people bad people, because that's only going to fuel that's only going to make all of this worse. Protest by not buying the thing you don't want to buy. That's it. Like, I haven't enjoyed where Call of Duty has been, and I haven't bought the last few Call of Duties. I know that might be like a wild thing to think or a wild thing to say, but you know, I don't enjoy where Diablo is right now, therefore I'm not playing Diablo. I don't know. I don't want to um what do you call it? I don't want to make Blizzard feel good about putting a $70 horse on the store, so I don't buy the $70 horse.
Because you are better than them. Because everyone is better than them. That's it. If you want support, please check out the links down below. We have
By the way, I think that is also contributing in the wrong way, is that you are the lowest form of people and everybody is better than you. I think that's also not contributing in a very good way. Right?
a limited run merchandise line expiring soon, so grab that while you can.
Yeah, so it's just self-ads after this. Most of this video I do agree with, except for the very end there where, you know, he is saying that these are literally the lowest humans on the planet. I don't agree that that is the way to do it. Like, whether you think that that is true or not, I think all you do is you vote with your wallet, and then that's it. Like, this is something that I also agree with, that I think that these people are doing a disservice to the gaming industry. From everything that I have personally seen, that is my view. And I have looked at both sides. I think that this is not a good thing for the gaming industry, the way that they're going about it. I don't have anything against inclusivity. I just think that they're force feeding. So I'm gonna, you know, be a little bit more cautious about the games that I buy and play. Which is fine, because there's a lot of really, really, really good indie games that are coming out. Like the indie games that are coming out, say Helldivers 2 and Last Epoch, which are indie games. I think these are the devs of the future because they're making games that people want to actually see and play. So that's how I'm going to do it personally. And I think that's the best way to do it. You just vote with your wallet. You don't have to vote any other way. Right? So this is a bit of a shorter video. It's talking about the exact same thing though, so let's just get into it right here.
I hope everybody is ready because Gamergate 2 has arrived and it's only going to get significantly
This could be talking about the exact same thing, so we'll just see quickly here.
worse. It is 2024 after all, an election year, and this is an article from 2017.
Well, I just want to see
2017, after the Musk entering
what this is. Gamergate 2 is underway. Former game executive and Blizzard, oh my god, former game executive and developer at Blizzard, Mark Kern. The way games are funded, you don't use your own money. Even EA, its games are hugely expensive to make. They're upwards of 250, maybe sometimes 300 million.
the fold, and now Elon Musk has signal boosted this story, and
yeah, I like Elon Musk. Take everything political out of it. He does a lot of really good things. He does a lot of things that I agree with. And he's also a gamer. Like, he's actually a gamer. Like, he killed Uber Lilith. He played Elden Ring. Like, he actually plays video games. I like it.
it is about to take off. It's about to take off. Now, this is
I don't even know how, because I don't know how he has the fucking time. He runs, what, 3 trillion-dollar fucking companies? I don't know how he has the time for this.
A tweet from James Lindsay. Gamergate 2.
Here it is. Games are hugely expensive to make. They're upwards of 250, sometimes $600 million. It's for certain live. It's for certain live games. It's incredibly how expensive they are, and to do that, your CFO is your best friend. Why is this written like people talk? That's so hard to read. You're counting on your CFO to get you tax breaks, to get you in to put studios in regions which are financially favorable, and you will borrow the cheap money. You will get a cheap money, and you will borrow the cheap money. You will get a cheap money to do it. Why is this so hard to read? Why is this written like this? Even EA does this. I worked with EA. We were putting together a deal where we were taking bailout money from the banks in the last financial crisis we had, and then and they were applying that cheap money towards games. Same thing with COVID money. They're applying that cheap money towards games. And what has been the cheapest money will, while interest rates were still low, you know, a couple of years ago it was ESG financing, and so they're going to take this money. That's so hard to read. That's so hard to read, but basically what they're saying is you just want to get funding with the least amount of interest as possible. I believe that's what they're saying.
Underway. We've got former game executive and developer at Blizzard, Mark Kern, Grums, most of you know. He did an interview with the Quarter.
Because the returns on investment have been so poor on Wall Street for ESG funds, a source of revenue is drying up. This woke machine cannot continue in the way that it is now for AAA gaming, and I think unfortunately it's so entrenched that you're not going to see much of an ability to course correct because the studios are just going to shut it down. Yeah, I mean that's probably true, right? Like people are not happy with the way the gaming industry is right now, and they're able to vote with their wallets. They're able to buy the games that they want to see continued. Like this is why Suicide Squad was such a colossal failure.
And Cabrutus, and this
because people didn't like the game, so they didn't buy the game or they refunded it.
This is what was said, and it's interesting that Elon Musk has highlighted this, and this is going to send it into another stratosphere now because Elon Musk has acknowledged it. It was already a massive story. It's about to get even bigger.
If anybody has the actual power to do anything besides the masses, I mean, like one specific person has the power to do something, it's probably Elon Musk. Because he's actually a gamer, like because he actually has a vested interest in this. Like I don't want to speak for what he wants, but he probably doesn't want to play games that he doesn't agree with the content of, right?
Let's listen in really quick.
That it's not that gamers are, upset about, oh, hey, we have some diversity in the game.
Yeah, people aren't upset with that. People are perfectly fine with diversity being in their games.
Actually,
this is exactly what I'm saying.
About it, with pure tokenism, with phoning in weak characters instead of creating strong new characters, and more important.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is exactly what I'm saying. Is people don't want to be force-fed stuff.
Importantly, it's about a vindictiveness to destroy the past, to destroy the IP, to ignore the source material, and to tear apart these beloved characters in some sort of fitful rage that we don't understand and is very disingenuous.
You know what's a really good example of this, by the way, is what's that show called? The new Scooby-Doo show, Velma. That's a perfect example of this.
And I think that is the tremendous reaction to Suicide Squad. And this is going to have an immense financial impact. The way games are funded, you don't use your own money. Even EA, okay? Games are hugely expensive to make. They're upwards of, $250, sometimes $600 million. It's for certain live games. It's incredibly how expensive they are. And to do that, your CFO is
okay. Yeah, so he's just saying the text that was above.
Low, a couple rebrand that you're not going to see. You're not going to see much of an ability to course correct because the studios are
they're just going to shut down, right?
They're going to shut down,
yeah.
And this is truly the rise of AA gaming, or what some of my fans call S-tier gaming.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying as well, is these new indie studios that are actually making games that people want to see, these are going to be the developers of the future. Like, these are the games that people want to see.
This is,
like Helldivers.
Like Helldivers, Power World, the Diablo West game that came out. I forget the name of that. Really incredible success.
I totally forgot about fucking Power World because I didn't play it. Power World was a huge success. Was an enormous fucking success.
Stories in a period where game companies are experiencing significant losses. The bleeding will continue until, and no one's going to wake up from it. Unfortunately, it's going to be a total nosedive.
I don't know if that's true. Actually, I think it's going to take a little bit. I don't think it's going to be an instant thing. You know, maybe we'll start seeing changes in the next few years. But at the end of the day, if the shareholders aren't making money, they're going to force a change. At the end of the day, it's not really the developers that are deciding what goes in things, it's the shareholders. Because if the company is not making money and they're realizing it's because of the content in the game, they're going to get rid of the developers that are making these decisions. Everything comes back to the money, right?
And there's more to this, and I'm not going to...
Mark Kern explains how ESG money comes with strings attached inside corporations and is used to make companies partner with DEI consulting companies like Sweet Baby Inc. Everyone needs to realize that it's not... Everybody needs to realize is that it's not these studios are funding the games out of their own pocket. I mean, well, yeah, they're not, because they're funding it with the money that we give them, right? Or from, you know, loans from Wall Street or however the fuck else they do it.
Listen to, you know...
Because I don't know how they can have games like Suicide Squad, where the game cost $100 million and was a colossal failure, so it's just a quick minus 100 mil.
All this right here on this stream, but there's another tweet here that I have retweeted this if you want to go right there. You know, Grum says, thanks for the mention. This is an important issue. Movies, it's bigger. That wrote the article for Kotaku, Alyssa, and it says, I see a lot of industry folks and leaders with massive followings
I've talked about
and
this already.
influence staying very
What's this?
right here. And Grumps has confirmed
Hold
that
on, what is this?
silent.
This is Daniel Lalanders, a non-binary game developer. She was hired by Cliffhanger Devs to create a game based on Marvel's Black Panther. She says she doesn't hire white people because they're unsafe and it's hard to work with them, and only hires people of color. See, this is also something I was talking about yesterday, is that the only people that you can be openly racist about are white people. And this is a perfect example of this. This is just racism. Racism, by definition, is not dealing with or liking a specific group of people based off of their color. She's not hiring a specific group of people, in this case white people, because they're white and they consider them unsafe. That's just strictly it. Like, how do you know they're unsafe? Well, it's because they're white people.
We have this video right here. And Grumps has confirmed that, of course, she worked for...
Just verified that the ride never ends. This is all over developer hiring in AAA based on recent DMs I've been getting from the industry. Illegal hiring practice. Yeah, exactly. And this is actually illegal, by the way, is discriminatory hiring.
Sweet Baby
Like, this is actually illegal.
Inc. just verified it with Google search. The ride never ends. Let's listen in right...
Hopefully with them actually admitting this, like just straight up admitting this online, hopefully they can have legal action taken against them, either by a large corporation or by just people filing lawsuits.
Here.
One right now for Validate. It's a pretty big team. It's a crazy big team for indie games.
Sure,
But
21's pretty big
who
for
is your
indie.
team? Validate has a team of mostly all people of color. We have no white people on our team.
What'd she say there? What'd she say there? What did she say there? We have no white people on our team. No white people, and she's proud of that. Oh, but she's going to let you know she's got nothing against white people.
No white people on our team. I did that because I wanted to create a safe environment. And I know the best way for an environment to be safe is to be around people who are just like me.
I actually don't think that's entirely false. And I'm going to say that by... If you want to feel the most safe, you're going to surround yourself that are like most safe either physically or politically or emotionally or however you want to determine the thing of safe, is you're going to surround yourself that are people most like you. So I think that's not entirely false or untrue. But because she's doing it against a specific type of person, it is inherently racist.
And I'm not saying that white people in the industry are creating unsafe environments.
You are 100% just saying that.
I'm not.
Reminds me of Brie Larson. Am I saying I hate white dudes? No. And again, am I saying, hey, white dudes? No.
Saying that. That is not what I'm saying. I am saying
Getting
I think this
election
is something
coming
I've
up
talked about
in
already.
a few months from now, and of
Yeah,
course,
it is.
Donald Trump is the front runner to win the website right here. And if you have
Yeah, so this whole situation is just really interesting, right? I mean, you're just starting to see the actual colors of all this stuff. Everything is just inherently racist. And it's kind of unfortunate for them that they're being so open about that. Woke agendas are finally starting to die, get these racists out of the industry, hope they get sued for discrimination. I also hope they do. And by the way, I would have this exact same opinion if a company wasn't not hiring black people, or not hiring Indian people, or not hiring Chinese people. I would say they should be sued for discrimination. Because you cannot do that. I just want good games back. I'd say the Biden admin is doing enough of bang up to be responsible themselves for being. Yeah, I don't really care about that. Fucked around, now they're finding out. When Elon Musk has you on notice, heaven help you. Yeah. I think Elon also talking about that is going to be a huge benefit. Yeah, I don't know. You can only talk about this same subject over and over and over so many times. And let's be honest, it's not like I have a following, so I don't really need to farm anything, at least not yet. So I don't really want to continue talking about this for now. It's kind of depressing, to be honest. It's kind of depressing. Let's talk about something else for now.